100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. We're covering question number 43. What does the contract really say, and what are my obligations under it?
So a few weeks ago, we went over the entire residential sales contract for one of our buyer questions of the day. But today we're going to boil down what the contract says. And, the simple fact is it's going to tell you what you agreed upon, right? You said that you're going to buy this house on a certain day for a certain price. So we already got that nailed down. That's pretty simple. But the contract also spells out what happens in the event that there is some damage or loss to the property. The contract says that the property belongs to the seller until settlement. So whether there is a natural disaster, act of God, the home catches on fire, all liability stays with the seller until everyone has signed on the dotted line. And then finally, your contract also spells out the title transfer, and that's going to be the transfer of ownership from one party to another, what that means, and also and how that is all cleared out. Transfer the property from the seller to the buyer. Now, there are 5 basic elements to the sales contract. So we have the assurance of clear title. So the title refers to ownership. The deed is how the title is transferred. Conveyances are going to be all those things within the property that come along with the house, right? So we're not just talking about the walls and the floors. We're also talking about window treatments, washer and dryer, all the appliances, ceiling fans, things of that nature, right? So all those conveyances. The sales price, that's pretty cut and dry. This is the price that everyone has agreed upon. You paying the buyer, you paying the seller, and what the seller is going to accept. And finally, your closing date and location. Those 5 main items are the things that are the basic elements of your contract. And then we have the 2 most important of those, and that's going to be the assurance of clear title. And a clear title is going to be a title that is free of any claims or disputes of ownership. And then also the sales price, right? The consideration, what you're giving the seller in exchange for their property. So today we want to focus on the title. So as we said, you want a home with clear title, a good title that can be insured. And also everything in the property has to convey with clear title. So it's not just the property itself, but all those things that convey, the seller has to actually own those things too, because once you sign on a dotted line, everything within that property belongs to you. So the seller says they're going to pass this on to you with a clear title. There should be no liens, no defects, no easements. And then as far as a mortgage, the seller has already agreed with the title company that they're going to allow them to pay off any existing loans so that any liens on the property can be cleared. And so we're using a little bit of real estate jargon here. And so let's break some of that down for you. So we already covered what a clear title is. We actually had a scenario a few years back where a client of ours had to walk away from a transaction because the seller could not provide clear title. There was a scenario in which one of the 2 owners of the property passed away, and the estate had not been cleared up yet. And apparently there were some adult children that were not related to the female seller. And so since the male owner had passed away, he had some adult children. So there was some murkiness around who actually owned the property or who had ownership interest in a property. And since that could not be cleared up, our clients had to walk away because clear title could not be established. And then we have a lien, which is a legal claim against the property. The property can be used for collateral to ensure debt repayment. And so essentially that's going to be things like a mortgage is a lien, right? Your mortgage lender has a lien against the property, but also there could be tax liens, there could be mechanics liens. If there had been some work done on the property and perhaps you had not paid a contract, you had a renovation done a year or 2 ago, right? And the seller never got around to paying that contractor. Well, then that could lead to a lien being put on the property as well. And then lastly, there's an easement, and that could be something like a utility company having the right of way to the property. So sometimes there's like a utility box in your backyard. Well, easement allows that utility company to get access to their utility box that's on your property without necessarily needing your permission. It provides them with a right of way or access to the property.
So when we talk about ownership interest, we're talking about really 3 different types. There's fee simple ownership, which you really see with single family homes and most townhouses. This is where you own everything that you see, essentially. That means that the dwelling or the house, the structure, and the land that it sits on. Now, you can have a condo, ownership with a townhouse. And there are actually some 55 plus communities where you could even have condo ownership with a single family home, but those are rare. So with condo ownership, that means that you own the interior of your space, and then you have a percentage ownership of the common area. So common areas include like the the swimming pool, the hallway, the place where the mailboxes are located.
Yeah, the lobby, things like that.
So that condo ownership means that you own the interior, and then you get to say what you want to, you get to decide what happens in the interior of your unit, but everything on the exterior is owned by the group. And then there's co-ops. We don't really have that many co-ops in Northern Virginia, but this means that you own shares in a corporation, and in essence, you kind of rent the property from the corporation that you have an ownership in. Now, when it comes to title insurance, this is to protect your interest in the property or the interest of the parties that have some type of consideration in the property. So when you first purchase the property, the lender is going to have the largest percentage of ownership of the property due to the loan that they have on the home. They're going to require that you get lender's title insurance. You're not going to be able to opt out of this. The only option that you have to opt out of is owner's title insurance. A lot of people, when they are kind of trying to make the numbers make sense, or even they just see things as optional and they're like, well, I don't want to pay this amount of money, is they try to opt out of the owner's title insurance. We try to caution people against this because owner's title insurance, your equity percentage or your equity in the property, right? So if we think about it, lender's title insurance, in the event that there is a claim against your property, if there's an owner that the title insurance company forgot, or they left out, or the title policy didn't show, the title search didn't show, and that person says, I own this property, well, you would want to have some insurance on how would you get your money back as far as your equity is concerned. So this owner's title insurance is a insurance to protect your interest, and it will also cover some of the fees associated to defending your claim or defending any claims against the property. We highly recommend it. I know it says optional, but your equity is one of those things that is one of the main reasons why you're kind of buying a home versus renting. That was the end of question number 43 in 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask, which is, what does the contract really say and what are my obligations under it?